We have some basic minor league injury updates. I mean, first and foremost, Heston Kjerstad, haven't provided an update there in a while. He is in Sarasota. He's back to work physically at our complex, which is great news. He's kind of progressing back into a rehab status of getting back towards baseball activities hopefully soon. That said, as I said all along, this was a very tricky condition, something that, being cardiac related, we're exceedingly cautious about and continue to have a cautious mindset towards. So I think we're just going to take things as they come, but good news that he's in that phase right now, and I think with the off season being around the corner, that we'll be able to have time on our side and kind of proceed very carefully, and fingers crossed, hopefully have him for spring training. But we'll see where this goes. It's been a very tough situation for him. He's doing a great job. Our medical staff has done a great job with him, and it's obviously been a tough situation for us. But so we'll just keep taking it in stride. But he's back to work in Florida. No updates yet on DL Hall. He's still in the phase of simple rest, we'll be reevaluating there soon. But my anticipation at this point is still that he continues to rest until this stress reaction has completely subsided, and we'll probably rest him even beyond that, just to be sure going into the off season. I don't expect him to pitch again this year. And then hopefully this is totally behind him for day one of spring training. And then anyone else in particular?
Zimmerman?
Bruce is here. He has a pretty bad ankle sprain that he got while working out in the weight room. I think it's TBD whether he's able to come back and pitch again this season. It's going to be close. Obviously, it's not a long-term concern. But just with the timeline, we'll see if he ends up being able to return before the end of the season or not. But he's doing well. The swelling's down. It was just kind of a freak thing. He was doing some jumps in the weight room, and his ankle caught. And unfortunately, the timing was right before his activation, and it's also at a time when we could use his help. So we want to make sure we get him back fully healthy and not have him do anything that would endanger his arm or anything, obviously. Terran Vavra continues to rehab. If things go smoothly, he should be back in Bowie like next week. He's still in Aberdeen. Our ninth round pick, Ryan Higgins, in an FCL game, dislocated his shoulder pretty badly, and it's something that it's going to be surgically repaired, so that'll put him out for the end of the season. That happened in a game a couple weeks ago. And we have anyone else racked at Dan?
Is Baumler anything more on him?
Yeah, he's in a mound progression. It's going great in terms of like regular Tommy John rehab so far. He'll probably be kind of throwing not in real games with umpires, but simulated games with hitters before we kind of break apart for the winter is our trajectory right now. So that's going well.
When you talk to Brandon, I'm sure you do frequently during the stretch, how do you think he's handling what the team's going through? Do you sense he's feeling some pressure beyond just trying to win games? Do you feel like you have to offer encouragement at all, like, hey, you're the right guy here and it's going to work out?
I do, and I do all of those things. He and I have a great communication at all times, whether it comes to day-to-day roster management or big picture stuff. And I stress the big picture stuff all the time. He came into this project at the outset with me and Sig and Kobe Perez and everyone who's here, and we zooming out a bit, we came in the 2018 off season, very late into the 2018 off season, and at the risk of repeating myself, I mean, it was a historically challenging situation where, we're in the division that we're in the market that we're in. The team was had the worst record in the league. We had, I think, to the team's credit in a lot of ways, pushed the envelope payroll-wise and window-wise to extend a very impressive winning run, and we it broke apart. We had several underwater contracts, some of them historically so, and the farm system was toward the bottom of the league in the rankings. There was no international operation that provides like a third of the players, and we were like a decade behind the industry in a lot of technological areas. And we knew this was going to be tough and take a while, and he knew that, and we understood that. And now, 2.5 plus to 3 years in, I assess where we're at in this project, and we have a flexible landscape going forward with our major league roster and our major league finances. We have a top of the league type of farm system. All of that infrastructure is updated and up and running and performing and allowing us to perform as we're going to need to operate as the type of franchise that we are and the division that we're in and the type of market that we're in going forward. And we have several players on this team right now that are looking to me and looking to Brandon like young special guys that are going to be a part of a good team here. So I think with all of that in mind, we are very much on track with what we're trying to do, which is bring this team back to a playoff competitive caliber, year in, year out contention in the manner of other franchises that I've pointed to recently. It's requiring a very big transition in the way that this franchise did business and will do business going forward, and all that's on track. But all that said, I hoped that we would be able to avoid kind of stretches of play like we're in right now, and seeing some of the things that we're seeing. I hope that we would be able to avoid that. But I'd be lying if I said that I didn't know that it was a possibility, at the beginning of this project or at the beginning of the season that we might find ourselves in these type of stretches and in this type of play. And whenever it happens, it always causes me to, self-reflect about things that I could be doing a little bit better, or moves I should have made, or things that we can do better on a day-to-day basis. And we strive to do that and continue to do that. But, and it's the way I've always been, ever since being in scouting. Just you self-reflect on stuff. But I think the state of play right now, that this losing streak, is not reflective of our large picture goals that are very much way on track in my assessment. And so we're just going to continue to grind through it. And this is what Brandon and I talk about when things get tough like this. And, we see aspects of hope and progress that are coming, and eventually, will be at his disposal. So that's I think where we're at. But this has been a very trying couple of weeks for everyone in that clubhouse, including me.
Looking to the off season, Mike, will you change direction and perhaps start adding free agents from the outside, or do you think your solutions are within the organization now?
My objective and kind of North Star through this whole thing is maximizing playoff odds for the Orioles over like a long time horizon. And we have based our decisions on that, based our prioritization of investment with those goals in mind. And when the time comes that those are the best uses of our resources and efforts, and possibly as soon as this off season, we will ratchet up those investments with those strategic goals in mind. So when it makes sense to do that, and we'll look at things, and things change by the week. We'll look at things, and when that starts to be the case, we'll do that. And that's really the truth of what I can say. And I'm looking forward to that day, which is coming closer and closer to where our odds of reaching the playoffs will be ticking up. And I'm looking forward to that. This is a franchise that, like I said, has historically demonstrated a very big capability to support a major league payroll, And in fact, it was almost done to a fault the last few years, and that's part of why we're at where we're at now, and why we're doing what we're doing now. But that's not going to last forever, and we'll do what it takes to get this team back there, put this team in a position to get back to the playoffs and fight for those playoff spots. And I'm hopeful it's really soon.
Mike, how do you evaluate the pitching in this organization from top to bottom? Has it been a disappointment for you this year, and throughout the whole system? And is there enough talent here that you can be able to make strides without having to make major changes?
I think that at the major league level, there's clearly a deficit, and we've had our share of kind of bad breaks at the major league level too. But everyone has that, and even without that, this was a situation where, look, frankly, the pitching staff that we have here right now, there's no one on the staff making more than $1 million, and that's Matt Harvey, who was brought in on a minor league deal and made the team out of spring training, and that's the reality of it. These guys are young, inexperienced pitchers making the minimum. That's what we did going into this season, and so I think we knew that we were going to be cycling through guys and experiencing some of the pains that we're experiencing right now. But looking at the organization as a whole, it's something that we're very mindful about. Obviously, we need pitching. I am very impressed with the young pitchers that we have in our minor leagues. Our group has put a lot of study into rebuilds and successfully executed rebuilds in the past 10 years. I would say that the group that we have now is better than what you saw in the farm systems of those teams going through those rebuilds at similar points in time. I'm particularly excited about a few of our guys in the minors. They're very, very special talents. Keeping pitching healthy is always challenging. You always kind of have your fingers crossed when it comes to pitching. And we've also studied the draft quite a bit. And since I've been here, we've used early picks on hitters, and we've done so for a reason and with a strategy in mind and with a plan in mind. And coming off the heels of this organization in 2017 and 2018, investing their high picks on high school pitching, and I think very, very wisely choosing that high school pitching so far, and hopefully, things continue to go well there. So that was in mind with what we're doing. I think that I look at this stuff. I look at the prospect list for what they're worth. I think we've got two guys on most top 100 prospect lists right now who are pitchers, and there's only like two teams that have more than that. So I think our pitching across the league stacks up really well, but I also know that the guys that are going to be pitching for the Baltimore Orioles over the next 5 to 10 years are not limited to those that are in the organization right now, and there's myriad ways to import pitching into the organization, and we're very mindful of that, and this is not something that we're approaching without that in mind.
Mike, you mentioned that possibly this offseason you guys could consider changing directions. What kind of things will you look at to make those kinds of decisions?
I think that we look at where we're at, what we expect our internal group to do next year, and that includes players that we'll see how the minor league season finishes up, but that may be prominent parts of this major league team next year that aren't on it right now, and look where our holes are and the resources that are available to us, and make strategic decisions with the goal in mind of getting this team back to the playoffs as soon as possible, and sort of keeping us in a state of not having to go through a gigantic, traumatic rebuild of this degree ever again. At least it's within our control. So kind of keeping all those things in mind, with that balance in mind, we'll hope to approach this offseason with some acquisitions that'll help improve our major league team.
Mike, what does this stretch say about, you mentioned some of the talents who could be here as part of this team, when the tide turns. What does this say about the overall group that's here now player-wise and their progression, the stretch you're going through now?
Yeah, look, we've had a mixed bag, and some very good developments. I don't think anyone saw the Cedric Mullins season going like this. He's looking like one of the better players in the sport, both offensively and defensively. He's an up-the-middle position player. He's young. He's homegrown. It's tremendously exciting. I think it's hard to understate the importance of that. Ryan Mountcastle, somebody in whom everyone in the industry had hopes for as a young hitter. Was looking very promising in the minor leagues, and I think to have him come up last year and then go through what was a pretty concerning extended slump and adjustment period, and hopefully seeming like he's kind of made some permanent adjustments and coming out of it and looking the way he's looking at age 24 has been great. I don't think any of us knew what to expect with Trey coming back from his awful year last year with his cancer diagnosis and the chemotherapy. That was a huge blow to us and him as well, and our efforts. But here we are. I think he's exceeded everyone's expectations in regard to demonstrating his health and return to play. So those have been some great things. I mean, John Means, it's been up and down, but overall, I think you feel better about who he is, than you did 2 years ago, and wondering whether 2020 was a flash in the pan, and we feel great about him. But there's been some other things that have been steps back, and that happens, and that's part of the challenge of this. But overall, like I said at the top, the large picture of us accumulating talent, cleaning up the situation that we inherited, and getting things on track with a clear path ahead of us towards getting back into the fight in this division is going very well, and it's on track. Despite some of the player-to-player setbacks that may have happened this year, despite the horrible stretch that we're in right now. So that makes me feel good. But every little failure, we self-reflect about. We try to improve. That's what we do, and we'll keep grinding.
Mike, what are you looking for from Natalie at AAA over the next 2 months or so? And just overall, when you zoom out and you look at what he's done over the last 2 years or so, like has he been what you guys expected for the most part since you drafted him?
I think we're very pleased. He's had a great first full season so far. I hope that he finishes healthy and strong. He just got to AAA. He's off to a good start, but we'll see. It's early. I just want him to keep doing what he's been doing and keep doing it against AAA pitching. He's going to see more kind of present major league pitchers there than he did at AA. Veterans are there and things of that nature, and we'll see where it goes. He's catching a different staff. He's got more spotlight and pressure on him. He's shown he can handle that, and he's going to have to continue to handle that. So we'll see. I just want him to accrue the experience. Hopefully he keeps doing what he's doing. And if he goes through struggles, he learns from them. And, playing at AAA is important. I think we've seen that here with some guys in this organization that didn't get the full AAA experience. It caused some more oscillation that you want to see. So I think he's going to get a lot out of this. It's been fun having him there. I think the AAA team likes having him there. And we're very, very pleased to have a talent of his caliber in the Baltimore organization. I think it's really cool. So I hope it continues to go well, and we like watching him every night.
Are there guys there who you think will get an opportunity up here before the end of the year?
Yeah, we're planning that, and we'll see. It's hard to overstate how much things change week to week. Guys get, Ryland Bannon is soaring. I think he's had a lot of bad luck this season. We have batted ball data that can, paint a picture with that, and his stats should be better than what you've seen. And now he's starting to get the results this past week, and that's something that's kind of way more on the radar screen than it was a month ago. And other guys have cooled off, but we've got players on the 40 man that I think we want to see and that can help us or deserve extended auditions or extended major league experience throughout September. And now the September roster rules are different. It's going to be like 2 extra guys that you can cycle through with options, but it's not call up your entire 40 man like it's been in years past. So we'll have to navigate that, and especially with our ever-present need for extra pitching, that's going to weigh in too. So I can't say with any certainty what's coming there, but we're keeping our eye on particularly those guys that are on the 40-man roster, and even a couple that aren't, that I think will join this team in September, if not sooner.
One of those guys who is on the 40-man roster is Yusnel Diaz, and he hasn't performed up to your expectations. Is it just injuries, or is there something else?
Well, the injuries certainly haven't helped, but honestly, it hasn't really gotten off the ground. Even going back to spring training and the alt side, it's just hasn't been characteristic of what we've seen from him in the past. So it's been really hard to work with him to get him going offensively because of the injuries. So I think that's compounded it. You just can't really get the momentum going in the work that we're trying to do with him on the hitting side there. So it has not been in the success side of the ledger in 2021 so far, and he still has a ton of talent. I've always been a fan of his talent, as I've said, and we gotta keep pushing with him.
Mike, as you project into 2022, can you foresee a scenario where Adley and maybe even Grayson spend a good deal of time in the majors, and would that be part of, in your hope, a chance to make potentially dramatic improvement record-wise?
Well, I don't know that any one or two players is going to dramatically improve our record, but I mean, look, these guys are two of the very best prospects in the game. They've both had immense success in Double-A. Adley's getting a taste of Triple-A. I think that's coming for Grayson at some point. We're having discussions on when it makes sense to do that in his case. But once, when you're a top 10 prospect in the league and you're an elite performer at Double-A, things start to get pretty real at that point. So, fingers crossed with health for everyone, including those two. But they're certainly on the radar screen for 2022 in a big way. And I can't be more thrilled to have both of them in our organization.
Mike, is it kind of harder for you guys to do what you're trying to do now than it was a few years ago, just with the industry kind of all aiming for the same sort of things, and maybe it's more challenging to make those gains on the margins of things and such?
Yeah, I think that this situation was uniquely challenging from the outset, given the deficits that I spoke to earlier, particularly the international thing. I mean, even that we've got that launched now, and we're building an academy, and we've had full July 2nd classes. Those classes, we're still players that we were kind of getting after market. These classes are put together over a period of years in advance. So we're getting out of the point where we're behind there, but that's still been a hangover. And then, we had hangover effects with the Major League roster, as I spoke to. And then we're in the division that we're in, and, we're not amongst the biggest economic engines in that division. So all that, has made this more challenging. Plus the industry adapting over the last 10 years in a lot of ways, and I think this team was kind of playing catch up with when our group came in a lot of those regards. But we also have some stuff on our side, and a big part of that is our fan base and the devotion to this team. And we feel it even right now while we're going through a stretch like this. And I know that the support is there, and the understanding from like a baseball IQ standpoint in this fan base of what we're doing and why. And I know that they're frustrated with day-to-day performances and moves and all kinds of stuff, which is healthy and great. And we see all that, and we share the frustration, and we also share the energy that they bring. Like the Cedric Mullins T-shirt night that we had here, where there was like a palpable energy that the team felt and talked about, and that's here in Baltimore, and not every place has that, and we're just trying to bring that back, and we're doing that the way that we have to do it. As said, we make mistakes along the way. Things are going to go perfectly, guys are going to get hurt, but I cannot envision any other strategy or approach that would have been viable or realistic or possible in the realities of our circumstances, but to do this drastic rebuilding of the franchise that we've been doing and is moving along very well. So I'm really hopeful about the future, but we got a lot of work, and it's a big challenge in our division to get back in the mix.
Mike, from your vantage point, how did the Chris Davis situation come to be, and what does that do for you organizationally? How does that change things?
I think that having a resolution in a situation is good. It's good for him. It's good for us. He had a significant injury on top of the struggles that he's had since being on this most recent contract, and it's it hasn't gone well, and it's been I think something that has weighed on everybody and hung over the roster, and I'm glad that we came to a conclusion that made sense for everybody and allows us to move forward, keep building for the future, and allows him to not have to address a rehab, a very difficult rehab in the situation that he was in, and kind of be able to retire on his terms. So I think it's a very positive thing for this organization that is resolved.